Africa's investment world. This podcast is brought to you by Daba, your most comprehensive platform for investing in African stocks, bonds, and managed funds. You can download the Daba app on your favorite Google and Apple app stores. We start the week with some good news on the BRVM. The market posted several noticeable gains, especially in industrials and consumer discretionary, despite an overall decline. And a few stocks delivered strong performances that really stood out yesterday. I'll take you through a complete review of the trading session for Monday, September 1st, 2025. We'll cover the top gainers, the biggest losers, the main indices, and of course, the bond market. And most importantly, I'll explain what these moves mean for you as investors in Francophone Africa. Leading the pack is SETAO Côte d'Ivoire. The stock rose to 730 francs CFA, a gain of more than 7% on the day. For investors, this signals renewed interest in the construction sector. In a region where infrastructure remains a key priority, this increase suggests the market expects sustainable growth for local players. Still among the top risers, CFAO Motors, Côte d'Ivoire, jumped nearly 7% to close at 850 francs CFA. For a retail investor, this means consumer discretionary spending, especially in automobiles, remains resilient even in a tighter economic environment. Think of it like households still buying cars even when budgets are under pressure. Another notable performer was Aura Group Togo, which gained more than 5% to close at 1,800 francs CFA. That may surprise some given the competitive banking sector, but this move shows investors trust the group's fundamentals. For you, it means the regional banking sector continues to offer solid long-term profitability potential. Uniwax Côte d'Ivoire also stood out, climbing over 4% to finish at 915 francs CFA. And here, the signal is particularly strong. Uniwax is up more than 120% since the start of the year. Yes, you heard that right. The stock has more than doubled in just 8 months. For investors, this is a reminder that niche industries like African textiles can become real stock market gems when demand is fueled by both local and international fashion. Finally, Total Energies Marketing Côte d'Ivoire rose more than 4% to close at 2,245 francs CFA. Even though the stock is still slightly negative year to date, today's rebound shows investors' appetite for energy companies whenever they show stability in revenues. Biggest decliners of the day. Of course, the session also had its losers. The sharpest decline came from Unilever Côte d'Ivoire, which fell nearly 7% to close at 48,970 francs CFA. But perspective matters. The stock has surged more than 600% this year. For investors, today's drop looks more like a technical correction than a lasting reversal. Another notable decline was Ecobank Transnational Incorporated of Togo, which lost almost 6% to finish at 16 francs CFA. While that may seem small, it highlights challenges in attracting new flows into the stock. For conservative investors, this is a reminder that not all banks are equally attractive in the equity market. SOGB Côte d'Ivoire slipped about 2.5% to close at 7,500 francs CFA. Yet even after this fall, the stock is still up more than 60% for the year. For long-term investors, this confirms agriculture remains promising, especially with global demand for rubber and palm oil. Vivo Energy, Côte d'Ivoire, dropped just over 1%, ending at 135 francs CFA. Sikabel Côte d'Ivoire also eased slightly by more than 1%, closing at 1,315 francs CFA. These small moves show how some stocks fluctuate in the short term without changing their overall growth story. Market indices. Let's move to the indices. The BRVM Composite Index closed at 319.47 points, down 0.33% on the day, but year-to-date it is still up more than 15%. For investors, that means that despite daily ups and downs, the bigger picture remains positive. The BRVM Prestige Index rose 0.32% to 133.29 points. With an annual gain of more than 16%, the Prestige compartment keeps proving its strength for investors who prefer established and resilient companies. The BRVM 30, which tracks the 30 most important stocks, ended at 155.22 points, slightly down by 0.22%. Again, year-to-date, it's up almost 12%. So, overall, the session showed some consolidation in indices, but the annual momentum is clearly upward. For you as investors, this means the BRVM continues to offer fertile ground to grow your portfolio, if you carefully select your stocks. Bond market. Now let's turn to the bond market. Total bond market capitalization increased slightly, reaching more than 10,168 billion francs CFA. Even though volumes were low, with just 332 bonds traded, the total value exceeded 3 million francs CFA. Among sovereign issues, several remained stable. For example, Mali's 10-year and 8-year bonds traded near their nominal value of 10,000 francs CFA. For investors, this shows perceived stability in Malian debt, despite the country's economic challenges. In Senegal, an 8-year bond maturing in 2029 traded at 9,900 francs CFA against a nominal 10,000. That slight discount implies a more attractive yield for new investors. Overall, the bond market remains calm but continues to play its key role, providing steady, secure income for investors looking to diversify beyond equities. In Francophone Africa, sovereign bonds are especially valuable for savers wanting to preserve capital while earning more than a bank savings account would pay. What it means for you. So, why do all these moves matter for you? Because they prove that the BRVM is still dynamic, with opportunities in both equities and bonds. If you're a retail investor, it means you can build a balanced strategy. Ride high-growth stocks like Uniwax, while securing part of your portfolio in sovereign bonds from Mali, Senegal, or Burkina Faso. Imagine you had invested in Uniwax at the start of the year. Your capital would have more than doubled in just 8 months. And if you had also invested in sovereign bonds, you would have secured regular income. That's the power of diversification. Spotlight on Daba Pro. To track these trends and get weekly recommendations on the best opportunities, you need a reliable tool. That's what we built with Daba Pro. With your subscription, you get concrete recommendations, exclusive analyses, and reduced fees when you invest. In short, you're not just following the markets, you're getting ahead of them. That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Daba Markets Talk podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with another update. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating, follow us, and share with friends. Remember, this information is for educational purposes. Always do your own research or consult with a financial advisor before making investment decisions. And download the Daba app on your App Store to start investing in African stocks, bonds, and manage portfolios through your phone and find other helpful content. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing your financial knowledge.